This is Don't Panic, episode number 4, recorded July 9th, 2013, on Cars as Clothes, Bands for Arms, and all the graphs. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you're watching our fine program. This is Don't Panic, the podcast on gadgets, the internet, and you. I'm Shaun Jennings.
I'm Colby Rabideau.
I'm Dan Miller.
And we have got a bombastic show for you today. All centered around the central theme of wearables and the Self API. That's right, computers that work with you. It's a really hot topic in technology today. I just read a story today briefly about, anytime a company sees to slide on the wayside, they put out a rumor they're putting out a watch or a headband or something and spikes up the stocks because everyone's talking about it. So right away, we're going to jump into our own personal experiences, which I think is a great way to start. And that would be, I don't have any money, so I don't own anything cool. If I had money, I would be Google Glass, Fitbit, Fuel Band. I'd be RoboCop, but I don't have the budget. I will refer, however, to the other two guys, Colby and Dan, who both have a Fitbit, which I'm really fascinated and I've looked at, and I think it's so cool. So I don't know if you guys want to talk about how that's worked out for you so far.
Well, I've had the Fitbit and the Jawbone. So basically what these things do, they do two things. They track the number of steps you take, and they track how well you sleep. And from the number of steps you take, they try to extrapolate out like calories and distance and active minutes with varying degrees of success.
Yeah, it's kind of a glorified pedometer.
Yeah.
But it syncs to your phone, which is cool.
Yeah, and it does help, like, so if you set a goal and the default goal is 10,000 steps and you're 9,187 steps in, it kind of sends you a notification to your phone, hey, you should, keep going, don't give up, and things like that. So, yeah. It's cool. I think the sleep, I think the Jawbone does a much better job with sleep. The Fitbit seems to tell me that I wake up way more than the Jawbone did, but maybe it's correct.
Interesting. I get a lot of, I think the Fitbit, it qualifies, it's restless. So I assume that means when I'm rolling around when I'm sleeping or something versus, and then there's awake, which is bright pink or something. But I actually had an interesting experience with that which was cool. This is the only cool thing I actually learned so far. that wasn't oh yeah, I walked a lot today. No crap. But normally I sleep and I have 15 or 20 restless moments over the course of the night. But then when I went to a party down at the beach with some of my friends from high school, and we had a bunch of beers, and I slept like a rock. I did not move all night. So yeah, when I drink a lot, I sleep well.
Here's what the Fitbit dashboard gives you. In fact, if I reload it, it looks way more cool. Whee! Smiley faces.
Whoa.
So yeah, it tries to extrapolate out a bunch of these things that, the steps I think are pretty accurate. I haven't tried to compare the Fitbit and the Jawbone, wear one on each wrist and see what the delta would be. I'm gonna have to try that someday.
Shouldn't you wear them on the same wrist though?
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. So it gives you cool graphs, and I'm a fan of cool graphs. I thought there was more here. And this is the new beta version, you can customize these tiles and move them around and change some stuff. You can add more things. The other cool thing about the Fitbit is that it has that scale associated with it, which I don't have.
Oh yeah, I have the scale though.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
How well does that integrate in now that you have both?
I mean, it's just kind of it shows your weight there too over time, and it's kind of neat. It's cool because I like the scale because like you just step on it and that's all you have to do, and it all of a sudden shows up. Like you don't even have to open the app and it syncs. It's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, because it's hooked into the Wi-Fi network, right?
right. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I guess my only question, and I'm going to ask this throughout the show tonight, is now. Thank you. Now that you're both using this on a
Shaun's
daily
a
basis,
skeptic.
I am,
Warning.
and I need to ask: is the Fitbit more than a gimmick and cool graphs and neat little charts? I mean, is it something that you've actually found yourself exercising more? Is it something do you really see value in it, or is it just something kind of cool to have around?
Shaun, it's like you don't even like technology.
Yeah.
I must be on the wrong. Is this?
What a loser!
I thought this was Knitters Monthly. Is this not?
No, but I actually do, cause like, if not like, I get really annoyed when I don't, when I sit around and like don't do anything all day, like I did today. Actually, I was in a really bad mood today because I like didn't leave my room, so I had like 1,000 steps for the day out of my like 10,000 step goal, which was sad. So I went for a walk, and I got eaten alive by bugs, but it was totally worth it.
Yeah, it does spur you on to do more. Something I think they can do a better job with is like measuring what food you're eating.
Yeah.
And an idea I had was like, instead of like sitting there and going through this database, why not just like take a picture of it now, and then like when you go to bed, it'll ask like, hey, classify these foods real quick that you had today, and it shows you a picture and reminds you what it was.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, so many of my meals aren't a thing in that database. Like,
yeah. I even wish it would just like remind you around the time you normally eat, like, hey, did you just eat? You should probably put it in the app now.
Yeah.
Because that's like, I forget, and then like it's nighttime. I'm not gonna like go back through my entire day of eating to record this stuff. But I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I wish they did that better, because I feel like that's something. The goal of measuring these things is to begin to understand like how much of something actually is. Like, if you could measure like your caloric intake and then look at it over however much you should be taking in a day, like that would be cool. But there's no reliable way to do it yet. We need the tooth implant.
Yes, that's the next one.
Yeah.
The Fitbit molar.
Believe it or not, I'm excited, and I think if they can, I'm really fascinated by the fact that it's easy to use and kind of out of mind, because I tried tracking my food and it's way too much work, which I know this doesn't solve that, but it's an example. And then I forget my second point, so we will segue very cleanly there to another story. And this involves quite possibly the most, how do I want to say, the thing that has sort of spurred this wearable revolution, at least in the eyes of consumers, and that would be Google Glass. And we have in our rundown here a story that really highlights what Glass is used best for.
Can we talk about what it is first?
Can
you bring up a picture?
I actually talked to someone yesterday who did not know what Google Glass was.
What?
I know.
That's crazy.
Her mind was blown. So, Google Glass is a pair of glasses you wear on your face. And on the right-hand side, there's a little camera.
Mm-hmm.
And out of that little camera comes this little display that sits in the corner of your vision, I'm guessing, so you kind of have to look up at it if you want to focus in and see it. Otherwise, it's just kind of like this blurry thing that you can't really see. So if you and it hooks up to your phone. it only operates through your phone. So your phone receives notifications, and it can be sent to glass, and you can see them here. You can take pictures, and they get sent to your phone. It all works through your phone, and that's pretty much it. And beyond that, it's kind of like, well, what can we do with this thing?
Yeah, I think it's cool. I mean, obviously there are some implications of always having a camera strapped to your head.
We already have cameras strapped to our hands, basically.
That's true. Now we're just strapping them to our faces.
Yeah.
It's a natural progression, right?
But these things gradually move further up your body.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think it's kind of a part of this it's general trend of things like the screens get less and less obvious, so we're just we're all merging in with the greater internet hive mind. It's we're becoming a part of it, and it's becoming a part of us. And
so long before Google Glass was a thing, there's this book called Demon by Daniel Suarez, which basically outlines the life or the immediate aftermath of the death of a game designer who wrote something like World of Warcraft, and he took the things he learned from that and wrote this program that when he dies, it looks at Twitter, and when they see stories of his death, it triggers the program, which creates this app that people can install and load into their glass-like things that turns the entire world into an MMO. So you get points for doing things for the program. So you'll go over here and pick up a thing and bring it and it'll drop off to somewhere else, and then someone else will pick that up. So each person in the thing has no idea what's going on, but it turns out they're committing high crimes and stealing tons of money and robbing people. Because some of the more adventurous people, they get upgraded to mobsters basically, and they get to go around and do all this stuff, and the computer helps them evade the police and everything. It was pretty cool, but this is it. It's now that such a thing would be totally possible.
That's kind of exciting and terrible. It's scary.
Yep.
I don't know. If anyone's ever wanted to take over the world, it's almost time.
The gamification of world conquest.
It's like Risk.
Yeah.
Except not tedious.
Except without all the dice.
Yes. That would be great. Google Glass now with dice.
Imagine.
And while we talk about all these exciting things Google Glass can do, and they're being rolled out to certain select members of the Google Glass Explorer program for $1,500, which I would go into debt and plunk down in a second. Google, if you're listening. Because I want to be that guy.
It's supposed to be out in the fall, right?
I
No?
They said sometime 2014, I think.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I think it'll sneak up on you. I don't think we'll hear anything until I/O next year. Maybe that's when we'll get the announcement. But with such new technology comes new fears, as those who don't understand it come to panic about it. And that certainly is the case with Google Glass, things like privacy involving cameras. As I'm going to pivot to the news story that I am I guess excited to cover. I mean, not really. I mean, it's such a gimmicky news story, but it's this story on Ars Technica. First arrest captured on Google Glass points to a little brother future. I'm gonna play here.
I haven't actually watched this, but
the clip. Excited. I'll let it play. I'll let it play while you guys talk about what you think.
Okay. Well, I like what they said about little brother future. I think this is an interesting counterpoint to the NSA, where we're all monitoring, everyone else, but also the government at all times, which would make it harder for them to overstep their bounds. So I like that point, but as you said, others, ironically, given what we now know about the NSA, will be offended that you could take a camera into the bathroom and take a picture, as if it totally wouldn't be obvious if you're like, what are you going to do? Stick your head under the stall? Like, I think a phone is much less covert.
Indeed. Yeah, I mean, it would be weird if, like, I don't know, can they like remotely control people's phones? Like they can like wiretap your phone, right? What if they could wiretap your camera, tap your Google Glass, and be looking through your...
This isn't even a story anymore. We have to assume that will happen.
Oh yeah.
But how's that any different from them doing that to your cell phone?
It's not.
I mean, the fact that it's on your face may be a little different, but, I think all these people who just panic, everyone's going to be recording everything, there's going to be glass everywhere, we're banning it from this, that, and the other thing. Well, they did that when cell phones first got cameras. They said, don't take it in the gym locker room. They're banned because people are going to take pictures.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't... we're going to see a million of these stories. First, blank captured on Google Glass, or Google Glass used for the first time in this. We're going to see a million of them as this thing rolls out, and I don't seriously, people, relax. People are going to do, and we're going to talk a little later about self-driving cars, but it's kind of the same idea where I get it. It's new. New things are scary. They make you uncomfortable, and that's fine. Be that way, but doesn't mean you have to be putting out ridiculous news stories every day. And I just want to point out, this is the most boring YouTube video I've ever watched.
Well, we can't see it.
Oh, so. I thought I was sharing my screen.
There we go. Now we can see it.
Oh, I had it full screened. I thought it was playing. I played the first 3 minutes of it and was watching it.
Well,
were you just staring at me that whole time?
No, I was just staring at a black box on the Ars Technica page.
Oh my god, I feel so dumb. I'm sorry.
If it wasn't very exciting, then thank you for sharing.
Because when it full screens, it goes into a separate window, and that wasn't the window I was capturing. Damn it. Okay, it's not a very good video, but if you want to watch it, it's all over the internet. What really bummed me out about this story, specifically this one, maybe on Ars Technica, and I don't know how much of this they actually wrote or took for someone else, but they said in here, and I'm going to try to find it. See, I should have found this before I said that, because that wasn't very helpful.
Control F.
Yeah, well, if I knew what I was looking for, I'd do that. But basically this article sort of they make a big deal about how we're rapidly approaching a future where everything can be filmed. If NSA is Big Brother, glass holes are the new little brother.
Oh man, I love that term.
Well, glass holes, I'll give credit to that. I don't like this idea that it's not like Big Brother. It's not. It's not being centrally collected in a way that can be easily discovered and found.
Right.
Think of all the millions of YouTube videos no one ever watches.
Right. Yeah.
So don't... It's not like some big conspiracy.
Well, that's also the NSA's argument as to why what they're doing is legal, because they're collecting all this stuff, but they're like, we can't possibly look at it. But they actually have the equipment to do it. Unlike you or I, who are going to take a picture, put a filter on it, and throw it on Facebook. Why am I worried about that? I'm not.
Yeah. I'm fine with it. I don't know. It's not...
Oh. Okay.
I mean, it's not like they're all... Yeah. Don't freak out. Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's on all the time, right? It's not like recording your every move and you turn it off or something.
There's a big bright light on it that's letting you know you're being recorded.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was just about to say. Yeah.
Which is, in that sense, it's like less intrusive than a cell phone. Like,
oh, yeah.
So you can quietly film something with cell phones, as you do often, Shaun.
I do. I'm very good at it. Years of practice. I guess what bothers me most about this is the fact that it's stories like this that take away from other stories that don't get any press, stories like how it's going to revolutionize how we drive cars, and it's going to revolutionize how we exercise, and it's going to, actual stories of actual innovations get buried, but instead, fight on the Jersey boardwalk caught on Google Glass. Like, no one cares. Seriously, let's focus on real news.
I don't think I haven't heard a real killer app for it yet. Like the car thing, you have to lose focus of what's on the road in order to see the direction arrow thing. So
Do you?
You
I have
do,
no
because
idea
you
what
have
it
to
is.
look up in the corner of your eye.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
I think like your phone mounted on your dashboard is still a better.
Yeah. I feel like it would be cool for like walking like in New York City or something like where you needed walking directions.
Yeah, it's kind of like an iPad. Like it's not really necessary, but it's nicer for some things in a cell phone. Like
Mhm.
if you're walking down if you're living in a city and you walk a lot as opposed to driving, and you have your hands full with 2 bags of groceries, which really sucks, and you know you've got another mile and a half to go, and you get a text message and you can read it right from your face without having to take your phone out. That's nice. It's just nice though. It's not like, oh my gosh, you know? It's not like the iPhone. It's more like the iPad. It's just a nice thing so far. It's slightly more convenient for some things than the iPhone would be.
Right.
All I know is as soon as these things are on everyone's face, I'm going to go to a crowd and I'm going to shout, "Hey Google!" and then they're all going to activate with voice.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna shout something like ridiculous, you know,
Oh, yeah.
search porn, and then
Okay,
everyone's just
Glass.
gonna, okay, Glass.
I wonder.
see.
It would be cool if you could like name. It would be cool if you could name your own. Like you could call it whatever you want. Like
Giles.
yeah.
Okay,
Or-
Giles. What's my
Sugar
next
Mama?
appointment? Sugar.
Okay, sugar mama.
That would go well in a crowd. Wow. Okay. Well, on that note, why don't we pivot? What story do you guys want to do next?
Well, so I guess just quick segue. Like beyond Google Glass, we decided it would be fun to talk about some crazier wearable computing devices that either exist or will hopefully exist or will exist in the near future. So that's where we're going. I don't know which one you guys want to do first.
Well, I think we can start with the well, I can start with the back sensor because I don't know. that
Yeah,
much
tell us
the
about
one.
this, Stan. This is
All
really
right.
interesting. I'm interested. Tell me more.
So, this is a product called Lumo Back Posture Sensor, which is basically a belt you put like around your lower back, and it can measure your posture somehow. So when your posture is when you're slouching or something like or leaning forward too much, it can provide you with a slight buzz to let you know that you need to stand up straight, because otherwise you will hurt your back and spend lots of money in chiropractor fees, or hopefully not anything worse than that. So it's a small thing, but it's pretty cool. I would like to have one because I notice myself doing it all the time. And I'm like, oh, I'll sit up straight. And that lasts for about 15 seconds, I would say. And then I revert back to my lazy state. It could even be that this isn't necessarily something you need to keep on for a long time. Maybe you just wear it for a couple of months and then you get used to it. Or maybe, this would also be cool to let you try out different chairs. So you could measure which chair actually gives you the best posture, which would be cool. So that's one of the small ones.
That's true. I actually hadn't thought about, like, since we talked about it a little before the show, and I thought it was kind of silly for $150, but, like, I feel like that's a legitimate job hazard for those of us who sit behind computers for hours and hours and hours a day. And it's hard. It is not like, you know, like you said, like you think about it and it's like, oh, I'll just sit up straight. Yeah, this is great. But then like after a while, it starts to get really tiring.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's exhausting. Maybe it's because I don't do it. But then I go back to my like hunched over.
You gotta get one of those standing desks.
Yeah.
That's the trick.
Oh, I'm totally getting one of those as soon as I get to work.
What I think, I mean, the only two things that I think this really matters for is, one, people with actual back issues, who have documented medical conditions and don't have any way. It's like having a doctor with you all the time, and I think
a really naggy doctor.
But that's for especially something like posture, which you will lose focus on so quickly. Yeah. I think that is such a great idea for that small group. The other way I find that this is relevant and interesting, and we'll see this more as we go through the rest of our stories, but I will start to be interested when all these things talk to each other. Okay? So when my Fitbit talks to my back sensor, talks to my temperature sensor, talks to this, that, and the other thing, I don't want them all piecemeal. I want them to all work together. When that happens, call me, and I will just outfit myself top to bottom with whatever it takes. Because if I'm sitting there just one afternoon and all of a sudden, you need to get up and exercise, but, just keep an eye on your back. Don't exercise too hard because we see today you've been slouching. And, your temperature's a little high, so don't run out. It's hot outside. Stay inside. It's things like that. Like, I want that. So good start, good idea. Let's keep pushing.
I feel like that transitions nicely into the human API thing.
Yeah, tell me, I don't know anything about computers, so I don't know what this is. So
basically, this guy did what you just asked for, but only for himself. So he pulls in all of the actual quantifiable information about himself, you can get the structured data on how well he's sleeping, his weight, the steps, whatever, I don't know, fuel, I guess that's a Nike fuel band thing, where he's moving around in the world. And actually, someone at work made a dashboard of themselves among all of the computer dashboards. So right beside the requests per second, you see how well did John sleep last night, and you see the sleep patterns on the graph, and it lines up with pushes. So if someone plays code that breaks it and he wakes up, it's pretty great. But that would be really cool. If you start your job and you OAuth your company with your personal API, and then they don't have to ask you how you're doing or what your stress level is or how's your commute to work. They know, and they can make changes to the lunches or your chair and just proactively fix that stuff for you, which would be really cool. And the same thing with doctors. Doctors could just pull your stuff and call you up. Oh, haven't been sleeping well. Maybe you want to schedule an appointment. Things like that.
Yeah, but what happens when your insurance company gets a hold of this and they say, Dan, you've been sitting at your desk too long, so we're going to raise your premiums because you don't live a healthy lifestyle. We talk about privacy, but imagine everything about you being made available. I don't, I'm Mr. Public Share Everything. These two guys can vouch for that. Got me in trouble a lot of times. Believe me, I don't have a filter. But when it comes to things like what my body's doing and my posture and my weight,
it's not. I don't envision it being public. I envision you giving access to people who ask for it.
But there's going to be social features built into things like this guy's a great example where he's just putting it all out there. There's there's a scale that tweets your weight every time you stand on it, and obviously it's optional and a lot of people don't do it, but I just think that's an interesting. I'm all about social media and relationship marketing, and I think it's just a really interesting dynamic when you can get a whole community of people around something. My only question is, you got to make sure where that information is going and who's looking at it. Because if you think the NSA is bad reading your emails,
insurance companies are probably worse.
Good point.
I'm with you, Shaun. The thing I really want to know all this stuff. I love graphs, and when they're graphs of stuff that is personally relevant to me, it's even more exciting. But I also I like where we're at right now because it's all stuff you can take off. When it starts to be chips implanted in my brain, that's when I'll get uncomfortable.
I so want that.
Well,
why? I know you do. Why? Why would you want that?
I want it because I'm too lazy to put on a pair of glasses or a watch or a band. And it doesn't need to track everything about me, but I'm all about convenience. And that's what these tools do, if you really think about it, is instead of you writing down your weight every single day, you record it automatically for you. So I am excited. I want the implant. I want to wave my hand and have doors unlock and cars start. So
well, we can get to the waving your hand thing, but really quick on the implant, they have brainwave sensing headbands that can measure your brain activity throughout the day. Not yet, but soon.
Are they? Is this the same one that's the has the cat ears on it, and it reads your brain waves and it'll move the cat ears? Did you see that one?
No.
This is not that same one?
No.
Okay.
That sounds terrifying.
It really is. It's such a gimmick, but
that would have been a good segue into the myothalamic Mio.
Yeah, so let's talk about that.
So Shaun wants to wave his hand and have doors open.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Colby, can you do that?
Yeah, I'll pull up the site here. Is there like a picture? Oh yes, there is a picture. Screen share.
Colby thinks his computer can listen to him like we're talking about, so he shouts it, screen share, Google, screen share. No, Colby,
haters. So, Mio thing is, I just got muted. It's it's a wristband that you wear on your arm, and what it does is it's
an armband.
Yes, it's an armband that you do wear on your arm. My apologies.
That's okay.
But what it does is it like senses the movements of your muscles. So like, and I don't know if I would imagine that most of you have like, you know, held your upper arm and like moved your fingers. Like your muscles all through your arm move like just from moving your one finger. So like through this they can track like incredibly complicated like precise hand gestures from this band on your arm. So they use it so it's like a controller for your computer, so you can like start your music or like you know, there's footage of people like playing video games, and there's a guy like controlling a drone with his arm, which is cool because that's what I want. But it's just kind of neat. I think about it. Nothing.
Well, could this thing be location aware?
I don't know. I mean, I would imagine in conjunction with something, your phone or something, it certainly could be.
Because, like, if it could connect to multiple things, that would be really cool. And I wonder, like, how unique. I wonder if you have to train this, or are all of our signals for this exactly the same or close enough? You know,
I feel like they probably are. I mean, we're relatively consistent as a species. I don't know.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you could do this with cameras, that would be more convenient in some ways, because you don't have to have a thing on your arm, but less convenient, I guess, in the
because you're stuck to the cameras.
Yeah.
I'll believe it when I see it.
All right. Well, pre-order one, Shaun.
That's my. How much is it? Do they have a price? Because actually, I'm curious.
Let's see.
Because
we'll order it live on the show. How many do you want?
They'll take your credit card. I can see that. I hope they give you a price.
How many do you want, Shaun?
I want all of them.
150.
That's not terrible.
With $10
yeah, that sounds about right. Because that's how. So let's see. So if I got that at 150, I got the posture thing for another 150. So there's 300. I can get Google Glass. That's 1,700. Fitbit is what, 100?
100. Yep.
That's 18. I should get one for both wrists. So that's 1,900.
And then the scale, and you'll
scale,
round up to about $2,000.
And it's
You're basically a robot. You're like a cyborg.
I'm a bionic man at that
Yes.
point. Outstanding.
I dig it.
All right. Colby,
Yeah.
you put self-driving cars on our list of wearable technologies. Explain yourself.
I did that because I was talking to a friend yesterday about our wearable computing episode, and I mentioned something about reading an article on self-driving cars, and she was like, well, how is that wearable computing? And I said, well, a car is kind of like a piece of clothing that you put on to protect yourself while you're flying down the highway. So, yeah, so that's they are. It is. It's just a protective box that you wear while you're driving. And
Okay.
I think
Sure.
good. So, and I think self-driving cars are going to be awesome because there's an article on the New York Times Bits blog or whatever it is, that their like opinion column online, talking about like what it might mean if your car could drive yourself, could drive itself. I wish I could talk today. That would be so useful.
That would help.
Yeah. And no, one of the things they were saying, like, you would never have to find a parking space again. Your car could just drop you off, and then it could go find its own parking space or go to like a waiting place or something just to, like, you know, wait on your every whim. And that would be so cool. And then you could like call it back with your Google Glass or something. Be like, hey car, meet me here. And it would just meet you there.
Have you guys seen the video of the guy who they have as Google the self-driving car user number 1?
Mm-mm.
He's legally blind.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was a really big YouTube video a little while back.
Yeah, that was such an excellent use case. So basically, they show this guy, and he gets in the car, and the steering wheel turns on its own. I guess I could find the video maybe using this fancy dancy YouTube app. It shows steering wheel moving, and they're driving around. Here we go. Alright, Shaun, I'm going to start playing this YouTube video.
All right, I don't know if it's going to work, but
yeah, we'll find. Oh. Well, I don't think anyone can see that, can they, Shaun?
I think they can, but I don't know for sure. I literally have no way of knowing.
I tried to look at the live stream.
Video.
They might just be hearing it. I'm not sure.
We get post-production. We'll cut it out.
Yeah.
We can at least include the link on the post later.
All right, so
do me a favor. Just play it for a little while longer. I just want to try something.
Okay.
Yeah, they can't see it.
Nice.
I pulled up the live stream.
Guys.
And
I pulled it up too, but I can't tell where we're at exactly.
It's a cool video. Everyone should go watch it.
Yeah,
so anyone who's listening, we apologize.
Yeah, that sucks.
For just being lame right there.
All one of our listeners, I'm sorry.
So, but anyways, a blind, they go through this whole thing. They go through a drive-through and get burritos. They go drop off their dry cleaning, and the guy's legally blind. It turns out he gets out of the car to drop off the dry cleaning, whips out a cane. But his life is so much better because now he described it in the video as life slows down when you get older. Like, it takes you that much longer to get places, that much longer to do things. And this, the time to get places is just as it was, if not faster.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have to worry about driving.
That's really cool. I'm gonna have to watch that video after because I haven't seen it, but it's
really cool.
It's a great like selling point.
Yeah, it shows the 3D, the LiDAR.
I love that, the little spinning.
Yeah. Taking a constantly evolving 3D image and rendering of the area around it, so accurate that it can like distinguish stop signs from like yield signs, and it can see like deer coming into the road before humans can like process the signal through their eye, make a decision, and have their muscles act on it. It's absolutely bizarre. There's also a really cool Peter Norvig videos somewhere, if you're into the really nerdy AI aspects of it, that describes kind of how it works. But self-driving cars, the future. I want zip cars that are self-driving. Yes. Did you already say that, Colby?
No, I didn't, but I thought it.
My dream is, like, so zip cars, you can just go to a zip car, pick it up, drive it away, but you have to bring it back. What would be great is if you had a self-driving car, even if you still had to drive it out, or if you wanted to drive it out, you could drive out to wherever. You're staying there for a week and a half. It drives back to the base station, and you only paid for the time it was gone, not for the time you spent sitting in the national park parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to self-driving, I have to say two things about this. One, mad props to the Google video team, because they make the best videos, period. Videos like this, videos like, remember the original Glass concept video before we even knew it was a thing?
Yeah.
And it just looked like, I want that yesterday. So props to them, because they make me want things I didn't even know I wanted. The other thing is, I am Mr. Anti-Technology, and I desperately want a self-driving car. I am so excited of all the technologies, I think in the entire show, maybe Glass, but self-driving cars, I am genuinely excited for, because as someone who has been both hit and has hit things in a car, I think technology as a safety feature is generally underutilized in our society. Like, why aren't planes flying themselves? Why aren't boats controlling themselves? I realize there's reasons why, but in general, I'm just saying, I think
Isn't it true that planes more or less do fly themselves?
They do. They land themselves, absolutely. And for the most part, they do. The problem is pilots are hesitant to use it, and I think it's an education thing. And it'll take time before you self-driving cars, but I'm really excited because technology and safety, I think, is really cool, and I'm glad to see people are actively pursuing it. As long as I can turn it off and still drive myself once in a while, because I do enjoy driving, but I certainly want the option.
Nice.
Yeah, Eric Schmidt was asked, I guess he was asked the business case for Google cars. And he said, he laid out this scenario where Google knows that you're shopping for a particular thing, and it knows where you are, and it knows you're about to pass that thing, so it can tell you, it can be like, hey, do you want to go stop at Kohl's and pick up those jeans you were looking at? And then Kohl's can get a cut of that money. But also, it can plan out things like that, shopping trips. So you make a shopping list, and your car just figures out the best route and just goes. And it can tell the stores that you're going there, and they can just hand you the stuff when you walk in the door, because it already knows what you want. It already knows when you're going to get there, so they can just give it to you. He said, he might have just been spitballing, but those were some of the business use cases he outlined.
That's what bums me out about Google. I want them to buy back all their stock and go private, because every time they announce something cool, the first question, How are you going to make money off it? Because they're a publicly traded company. And then they go and give these cockamamie ideas that they're never going to do, but then everyone, my car is going to be telling me where to shop. When they came out with Google Voice, they said, oh, well, we'll be able to listen for keywords and we can give you ads. Well, obviously they're never going to do that, but just by saying it, like, come on, seriously, Google? We get it. You'll eventually make money. You're a $1 billion company. I'm not worried about that.
Yeah.
Just let us have cars that drive themselves. Don't tell me you're going to sell ads to me in my car.
It's the nature of the beast.
Oh my god. All right.
Cool. Well, that was a good talk.
Yeah, I mean, let's go around the horn and just do a quick summary of what we're thinking about wearable technologies and the self API. Dan, what do you think?
I am obviously a supporter. I agree with you, Shaun, that it needs to be interoperable. Unfortunately, and this is a discussion left for another episode, the internet is basically going away, and it's becoming like Facebook and Google and Twitter land. So we'll have to see how that goes. But it would be great if all these vendors were interoperable, and you could just say, hey, in addition to sucking in my data, why don't you pass it along to my provider X? That would be cool. I guess that's possible. I've thought about doing that. We've thought about doing that. But I'm excited. Definitely excited about Google cars. I don't want to have to drive myself. I want to save as much gas as possible. I want to save as many lives as possible, too. So I'm pro wearable.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you. It's like I like being able to take it off, and I like being able to keep it to myself. You know, I don't want to share it with people for the most part.
Out of context, that was just a great sentence.
I like being able to keep it to myself.
And you like being able to take it off.
Well, yeah, don't you?
Can't argue with that.
For shame.
But yeah, no, I'm with you, and I think we'll start to see in the next few months. I think we're going to start to see some cool stuff, like with people pulling in, you know, Fitbit data and like, you know, aggregating it with some other stuff. There have been a couple pretty cool services lately that aggregate different things, like that. My pick a couple weeks ago, Kipped, which is like the bookmarking service that it pulls in all your bookmark-ish things from everything, and it's super cool. Like, that's the dream. That's all I want. So we'll see. I'm excited. I have high hopes. What about you, Shaun?
Well, I will sum up my thoughts on wearable computing simply by saying the future is very bright for these technologies. It's such a ripe and growing field, and I'm very excited. My only hesitation is that it is such a field in its infancy right now, and that, you know, when the iPhone first came out, it revolutionized smartphones. But smartphones didn't really get good and widespread until many years after that. We didn't have an app store. We didn't have Android. It took a long time to get good. So I'm excited and I like to see the innovations, but I want to fast forward about 5 years and see when I can actually easily and affordably buy these things and use them. But I'll just keep drooling over news stories about glass and all the other cool stuff out there, and just stare in awe at those who do have. So,
fair enough.
Gadget envy, it's your worst enemy. All right. Well, that was a great discussion on wearables.
Wait, quick question for everyone.
Okay.
If you had the money and Google said to you, we'll give you the privilege of buying glass for $1,500 right now, would you do it?
Probably.
If I didn't have the money, I would do it.
Okay, that answers that question.
I would max out a credit card to get Google Glass. And then I would rent it out to friends on the weekends. So,
that's not a bad idea.
I want it yesterday. I'm so ready.
Although, in the terms of service, it does say you cannot sell your Explorer Edition, so I think renting is a form of selling.
I knew somebody who was actually in the program and was looking to buy it, and he was going to do a Kickstarter style campaign where if you helped him buy it, he'd give you perks. Okay. And I'm like, I'd do something like that. I would sell cookies or candy bars,
Nice.
magazine subscriptions. So I don't think we're going to have time for our stories of the week this week. And they're good ones, but they'll still be relevant next week. So we'll push them back, and we will move on to our picks of the week. And I am going to jump, and I'm just going to pick one of you. And I want to know, Dan, what's up with your pick this week? You always come every week, and I'm like blown away by what you're. Not that I want to slate Colby or myself, because I think we have good picks as well. But Dan, it's always a surprise. Please, what is your pick this week?
All right, so for the past 2 years, I've been using a Model M keyboard as my main keyboard, and this is like a giant 1990 plastic, like polycarbonate, really hard plastic, giant full-sized keyboard, all metal interior that you could really easily kill someone with a blow to the head. Like, it's that heavy. I've seen this keyboard in particular thrown on the ground, like thrown, not just dropped, and it's still fine. It's like a tank. So the appeal to mechanical keyboards is they sound really cool because they have this very clicky sound to them. You think of your typical like hacker going at it in some movie thing, the sound of his keyboard, that's like a mechanical keyboard. But that's really a side benefit to the real benefit, which goes back to our being comfortable in your white-collar desk job office, which is it has an indescribable feel. It feels much better. And I've been using one of these shitty Apple keyboards for the past several weeks, and just the past few days, I've really started to feel it. Like, it feels like I'm typing in mud, and it's just really, it's really unsatisfying because I often man, did that press down all the way? With these, there's never any doubt that you press it down all the way. So it's easier to type, even though there's more resistance. There's less to think about. It's really bizarre. I highly recommend trying them out. I read a great article that I didn't think to have in front of me that has some affordable sub $50 mechanical keyboards that I'll post in the show notes. But as with most things, you can get really crazy, and some of the best mechanical keyboards are $400 or $500. Naturally, and they don't, of course, have the letters printed on them because that's for noobs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my pick. Mechanical keyboards. Try them out. You won't be disappointed. You type a lot.
I agree with Dan. And I'm a hard typer. People are like, Shaun, what are you breaking in there? I can't go for it. So mechanical's the way to go. Okay, Colby, why don't you talk about the revolution of money?
Woo!
With your pick.
So my pick of the week is Symbol.com, which it's an online bank. Did I just get muted there?
You did.
It's an online bank, completely online. They have no branches, which freaks out my parents. But I've been using them for the last almost a year now, which is awesome. They send you. Oh, thank you. That's what I was trying to do before I got muted. So basically, it's just a checking account right now. There's no savings account options or anything. But you get a debit card. They send it to you for free. I guess expecting that you're going to send them some money. And then their two principles are awesome customer service, which they are awesome. You send them a message and they get back to you within the hour, and usually with the correct answer, which is fantastic. And then just mobile and online to the max. So their mobile app is great. You can do the standard stuff like cash checks with your phone. So you just take a picture and your check is cashed. But you can also you can disable your card right from your phone. So if you lost your card, or you think you lost your card, or there's a suspicious charge on your card, you can just disable it right from your phone. And you can re-enable it later if you were mistaken. But it's super cool. You don't have to call your bank. or anything like that to take care of it. And then they also on their website in the mobile banking site, they have all this, like, you can filter through things and you can see all these graphs of your spending, and I can find out like that I spent $200 at Dunkin' Donuts in the last 6 months, which feels really bad, but good because I'm never gonna spend money at Dunkin' Donuts again because I'm going to California.
Cool.
But it's really neat, and it's just kind of like they give you a lot of options for exploring your spending habits, and I think it's cool. So you should give it a shot.
Also, all part of the quantified self here.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. All right, simple.com, banking in the future. Awesome. All right, my pick this week is quite possibly the greatest idea I've ever heard, and that would be IFTT, IFTTT.com. And if you have not heard of this, shame on you.
Which that stands for if this then that, correct?
That's right, if this then that. And it's all about the idea of the recipe. So basically, there's actions and triggers. So you know how an if-then statement works if you've taken a math class or a logic class. For example, if I call Colby ugly, then he will punch me in the face. That is an if-then statement. Now imagine that applying to the internet as a whole. All these sites make these great APIs available. Why not make, when one service does one thing, another service does another? That's where if it comes in. The way it works is, let me throw up my screen here. Okay, so right now we're looking at my personal dashboard, and you have these things called recipes, which is a trigger and then a consequencing action. So, for example, some of the recipes I have, some of these I don't even use anymore, but like every time I'm tagged in a photo on Facebook, it automatically is downloaded to my Dropbox. Now that's really convenient because it does all my friends' photos, which my friends may not like, but it's for my personal use, so I don't really care. Or for example, and this one actually surprised me because I totally forgot about this. When your Facebook profile picture changes, update your Twitter profile picture.
Oh, man.
Which is genius because I always forget to do it. And then one day I looked at my Twitter avatar was different, and I'm like, what the heck? And then I remembered it does this. Save Pandora likes to an Evernote file. It's really incredible. And the other great thing is that, well, two other great things. One, they're really easy to create. All you have to do is choose your trigger channel, and they have just every service. They have Etsy, they have Facebook, with hundreds of other services. You simply choose the service. So, for example, Facebook. You choose your trigger. Let's say I have a new status message. You create what happens after I create a status message. So we'll say we'll post it to Google Drive, so to keep track of every single status I post. And you can create a thing, and it'll do it automatically for you. The other really great thing is that these recipes are public. Well, you can make them private or you can make them public, and people share them. So that's actually where I have found most of these. I would have never thought to make one to share profile pictures, but it was right here on the top. So, for example, text me when it's someone's birthday as a birthday reminder, or take all my Instagrams and download them to my Dropbox automatically. I think it is just such a cool idea. And the possibilities are endless. And the other great thing is they are always adding new services. I get emails from them all the time. We've added this, we've added that. They added ESPN, so you can get texts for sports scores or save them to a file. Overall, I just really highly recommend just checking it out. And even if you use it for one recipe, if it makes your life that much easier, I think that's awesome. So it's IFTT, IFTTT.com, if this, then that. My one of my new favorite things, so I highly recommend it.
Nice.
With that, I think we conclude the show just at about an hour. Is there anything anyone wants to end on, discuss, plug, wrap up with?
Not yet.
Nope.
Not yet. You're still holding on.
Someday we'll have something.
One of these days.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I I don't have anything either, sadly. So I guess on that note, it is time for us to end. On behalf of Colby Rabideau and Dan Miller, I want to thank everyone for listening and watching. We record this show live every Tuesday at 11 p.m. Eastern.
Wednesday. Nope, just kidding. Now it's Wednesday.
Are we moving the show to Wednesday?
No. Now it's midnight, so it's Wednesday. So I was confused.
Oh,
There
it's
we are.
midnight. Dan, I'm not that sharp. You can't throw me curveballs like that.
I feel like we've talked about how hard time is before.
Time is our enemy. So watch it whenever we do it. And you can also get it after the fact in both video and audio forms at don'tpanicpodcast.github.io. Each week we say we'll get a real URL, maybe next week. I make no promises. And so we thank all of you for watching. And on that note, I will remind everybody, don't panic, because we will be back next week with more. Good night.